Hey guys, it's Grizzly Goat here, and today we're going to discuss the real reason as to why Ubisoft buffed Ying the way they did in Year 5 Season 1 Void Edge. Just a note for my returning subscribers, I am still continuing the Counters and Collaboration series, so don't worry, episodes on those will continue to come out. Okay, now let's dive in and investigate. So, if you watched my season overview of Operation Void Edge, you know that Ubisoft did actually give frags to Ying, but they quickly dropped them before the operation hit live servers. So this change was only available on the test server, but this obviously is not what the video is about. We're talking about the changes that Ubisoft made in the balancing patch of Year 5 Season 1.2. If we look at the patch notes, we know that Ubisoft traded Ying's Claymore for smoke grenades, her LMG received a slight damage increase, and she received an extra Candela, so she got an upgrade in several departments. If you've been paying attention to Ubisoft's recent history of balancing changes, we know they have a very conservative and slow philosophy to upgrading operators. I mean, just look at Amaru. She was the worst operator Ubisoft has ever added, and it took them 9 whole months to actually make considerable changes to her. Ying being the extreme outlier in this situation leads me to believe that Ubisoft could have had multiple motives with these changes, so let's get started with our first. If we read the little note that Ubisoft left explaining the reasoning as to why they decided to make these changes, they state it was due to her performance on the balancing graph. And Ubisoft is right. She is honestly severely underperforming according to the balancing matrix, being severely underpicked and having a negative win delta. But in the history of Siege, I personally can't remember a time that Ubisoft buffed an operator so strong based off any factor in Siege, which leads me to believe that the balance matrix option just isn't why. When Ubisoft makes changes based off the balancing graphs, traditionally, it's a gradual minor change, until it reaches a spot of Ubisoft's preference, which was not the case this time. So, if Ubisoft made this change not to directly balance her for the long run, then what could it have been? Well, if we think about how the Rainbow Six meta and strategies work, popularity is often in the mix. Let me show you what I mean. Echo was added into the game in Year 1 Season 4 of November 2016. Later down the line in Year 3 Season 2 of June 2018, he received a strong buff which he received 2 drones. It wasn't until shortly after this buff where people discovered the true potential of Echo. And this isn't just some one-off situation. This was the exact same for Legion. Legion's true potential wasn't fully sought until Ubisoft nudged players to play him with the buffs. This also happened for operators like Montaigne, Jackal, and more. These changes made to these operators were either very small or large enough for Ubisoft to foreshadow a future nerf for that operator. If it wasn't apparent enough, popularity is a very strong tool in strategies and/or metas. While it might not always be the case for Pro League, it is definitely true in ranked play. Speaking of Pro League, Ubisoft also had a very inclined reason to buff Ying directly for Pro Play. Let's dive in. So, while I am personally not a Pro League expert, it was very hard to miss everything that went on during the Pro League season. I actually talked a lot about the very chaotic pro scene of Void Edge in my season overview video. And if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave a card for you in the top right corner of your screen, but back to the video. If you paid attention to Pro League recently, you know that it's basically the 20-second meta, where it's a utility destruction simulator and then a team deathmatch in the last 20 seconds of the round. This change to Ying could have been a direct incentive to try to change the meta of Pro League to make it less predictable. When Ubisoft nerfed Ying officially in the release of Steel Wave, they wrote a little line with the words, "Population targeted by change. Casual, top ranked, and esports." So practically everybody. While it would have been helpful to see this information in the Year 5 Season 1.2 patch, it wouldn't be wrong for us to assume that Pro League is actually a realistic reason here. I mean, if we look at her stats from the previous Pro season, she did awful. But we still have one more theory for Ubisoft's motive to buff Ying. While Ubisoft has not mastered the skill yet, they are trying. And they are trying to indirectly balance other operators. In this case, Warden. If you've been playing this game for longer than 10 minutes, you know the situation with Warden. He's been one of the most underpowered and underwhelming operators that Ubisoft has been trying to improve. And since Ubisoft has been very conservative with directly buffing him, they've dabbled into other areas, indirectly buffing him. Making Ying's pick rate skyrocket obviously led to Warden's pick rate to rise a little bit, but with my own experience, Warden still wasn't a very consistently picked operator. It seemed that only specific teams would play him, but even on top of that, after a few weeks of Ying's dominance, even without her getting nerfed, Warden seemed completely absent again. Now, I will admit, when playing as a Ying, Warden is quite frightening because he is a very strong counter to Ying, but people just don't want to play him. But that's another video for another day. While Ying has had a small reduction to her utility, we have yet to see the long-term effects of the radical change. I honestly wish that there was more data to work with, but this was still a very important and interesting topic to talk about. But what do you guys think? Did you think that one or more of these options could have been the motive for Ying's insane buffs? Or is it a reason that I didn't mention? Let me know what you have to think in the comments down below, and let's have a discussion. But that's all for me today. If you enjoyed this video, a like is always appreciated, and I hope to see you next time.